Bienvenidos and welcome back to another segment of Arizona Barrio Stories in Latino USA TV. Our mission here is to bring you stories from our community through the lens of members of our community so that you hear it through their voices and not someone else's voices. And as you well know, with the new administration, we've had a lot of fear in our community over immigration and families being separated and people being deported. And so we want to get here today is to give you some advice on how to handle yourself and how to get prepared if in fact that happens. And so my guest today is Danny Ortega, a very well-known civil rights attorney, a longtime friend and compadre, someone who is right in the middle of it, representing MALDEF, Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund, in the Prop 314 case. So welcome back, Danny. And well, how are we going to handle this fear and panic that's going on throughout the community as a result of the administration's initiatives?
Well, Jose, let me start by really recognizing that the fear is real. Mm-hmm. By recognizing that this is a horrible time in our country for our community. And we've had them before, Jose. You know.
Definitely.
This has been over a century or more where we've had to live with this type of fear. But I think the way we control it or the way we manage it is what's most important. Mm-hmm. Clearly, for those of us who are here, either as U.S. citizens, legal residents, or some legal capacity, we don't have that type of fear. But we may know somebody. Right. We may have family members. We may have neighbors. Mm-hmm. Or we know kids who go to school who are subject to this harassment that this president has thrown upon our community. And so, do we increase that fear? Do we increase that panic? Or do we try to do our best to calm it down? Mm-hmm. And that's been my mission here in the last few weeks.
Now, you must have a lot of clients calling you and out of they probably don't have any legal issues, but they're just afraid.
Well, Jose, it's more leaders in our community who want to know what can be done. Mm-hmm. As you know, Jose, I don't practice immigration law.
Correct.
But I am involved a lot with immigrant issues involving the Constitution and involving protecting their rights. I'm not an immigration lawyer, but I do get involved in many ways with immigrants on a lot of things. I always say I have an identity crisis. I say I'm not an immigration lawyer, but I deal with a lot of immigrants on a lot of issues, right, in the community. But at the end of the day, it just seems to me simple. And I do a lot of presentations in Spanish over the radio, over TV, and this is my message. Calmense Pero Preparense.
Okay.
And the reason why is because you can only think as best you can if you calm down. If you're in a panicky situation or you feel threatened, you're likely not to react the way you should or even think the way you should.
Well, that's a really important point because, as you well know, we're both on a WhatsApp media, and we have a lot of leaders there with the immigrant community who are giving out information. For example, Raquel Teran has Tus Derechos, a website where people can go and find out how to prepare themselves, and Aliento if there are reports and rumors, because there's so many rumors going on. So-and-so immigration showed up at this school, they showed up at this church, they showed up at this workplace, and it creates so much panic and fear. I know that the kids aren't coming to school because of that panic and fear. So that prepárate is so important. Tell us how you're helping people prepare them.
Well, I think the preparation is the most important. One, if you already have access to a lawyer, right? Make sure that everything you're supposed to do, you do. Should you be approached? Should there be someone with legal status who's an actual law enforcement officer, particularly ICE? Is this the person who's approaching you? And what are your legal rights? And clearly there are plenty of lawyers who will give you plenty of advice. This WhatsApp application gives a lot of information. So prepare yourself legally. What do I do in the event that? What do I do in the event that they show up at my workplace or that they show up in a public place, right? Now, Jose, it seems to me that the only people that are going to be arrested immediately and the people where they may show up to their houses or somewhere because they've been arrested or in prisons or in jails, those people already have warrants for their arrest. There is nothing we can do for them.
Exactly.
there are thousands and thousands and thousands of folks who have deportation orders and who have warrants for their arrest. They just didn't go back.
Right.
They figured out a way how to get out. There's nothing you can do for them.
Exactly.
They're going to get deported if they get caught. Okay? But for those of you who don't have any orders of deportation, for those of you who are not in jail and are waiting to be released, right? The chances of your getting approached is going to be small. I'm not saying it's possible, but it's going to be small. So think of it in numbers, all right? As far as Mexicanos are concerned, there are about 10 million of us.
Exactly.
And there's another 3 to 4 million from other countries that have been here for a long time. If they put 100,000 people back to wherever their countries are, that still leaves over 12 million. Think of it this way. I'm going to be one of those.
And you're exactly right, because they don't have the resources to.
I can't do it. And it's going to cost $300 billion. All right? So I want you to think like that. I want you to think, a mí no me va a tocar. ¿Verdad? Porque yo no me he metido con problemas con la ley. Yo no tengo una orden de deportación. Yo hago todo lo posible para protegerme yo mismo y mis hijos. El miedo los deben de tener los que se van a causar problemas. That's the other part of the preparándose, Jose. The other part of the preparándose is check your car lights.
Right.
Don't speed.
Right.
Don't run a red light. Worse, Jose, don't drink and drive. If you're here undocumented, there are no orders of arrest, you have done nothing wrong or have to fear. If you're driving a car and you're drinking and you're getting stopped, you're going to jail. And guess what? You get an immigration hold.
Right.
When you get there.
And simple things like shoplifting, okay?
Shoplifting,
A
theft.
couple of joints, very minor offenses, but yeah, that will create problems for you.
So you see that preparándose? The preparándose is you taking your life into your own hands, understanding that you don't have any problem with the law, don't create any more. All right? There's going to be thousands. You're going to see them on TV. I call this political theatrics, Jose. The president and all his goons, okay? He's a goon too. And all his goons, all right? Excuse me for but that's just the way I feel, right?
Así es la vida, ¿verdad?
They're going to make your life miserable, right? And by the way, they're wanting you to be so afraid that you'll go back to your country, right? At the end of the day, Jose, preparándote y calmándote is the most important thing they can do. And I think that, keeping your kids from not going to school is going to hurt your kids.
Exactly.
Right? My opinion is that schools are safe zones, right? Some are declaring it, some are not, but they're safe zones. I don't believe that they're going to be going after kids. I don't believe that they're going to be chasing down people at concerts or anywhere else.
Or World Cup games, okay?
Or World Cup game.
Be playing here.
Well, but Jose, if somebody showed up to enforce the immigration laws of the World Cup game, that would be disaster to those showing up.
Exactly.
Okay?
Right.
So I think, Jose, that the other thing that we have to be very responsible about, Jose, on the Calmense part, is our own people, right? Those of us who are U.S. citizens, those of us who are legal residents, those of us who have nothing to fear. Did you hear about the migra showing up at this place or in these apartments, or they're raiding a school or they're raiding this? Por favor. Don't yell fire in the theater. Right. All right? You're just going to panic more people. You cause more pain. So
we did. I had one incident where there was a rumor that MCSO officers were out by Carl Hayden. I sent a text to the principal, and he said, "No, we haven't had any of it. I haven't heard of it." And so I got that information back to the group that was claiming that. And so, no, that's a rumor. I know Alfredo Gutierrez checked out a site where people were saying that the immigration was there, and he drove by and said, no, there's nothing going on there. So we need to help. Us that are citizens really need to help calm people and help prepare people. I had a question the other day. Well, what if I drive my primo? I'm a citizen, but my primo isn't. Well, as long as you're not breaking any laws, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Don't
speed. Don't run stop signs. Don't drink and drive. Right. The thing that and I think you raised it earlier. If you are undocumented and you run into problems with the law, shoplifting, theft, DUIs, and you get arrested, then you're subjecting yourself
Right.
Okay, to potential arrest for your undocumented status. And if you are a U.S. citizen and you're with somebody who's up to no good, who doesn't have documents, guess what? You know what I'm talking about? It's one of those things. So I feel for our folks and I feel for our community. It's depressing to me. I can't tell you, but that it makes my heart hurt.
Well, I think all of us Mexicanos, Chicanos here, we all have either a family member or we know someone or we have a primo or a tío, a compadre, a comadre that is undocumented and came here, but they, for the most part, are contributing. They make the clothes that we wear, they pick the food, they build the houses, they do the roofing, you name it. A migrant touches every part of this economy. And so without them, what's going to happen, but prepárate, prepárate y prepárate. Great message.
And to the degree that you can, calm people down. Don't create more panic.
Right.
At the end of the day, this is but another part of our history. We have all gone through. You can look back to our parents and their parents and all the things that they went through. You can look at the deportations that occurred in the mining towns, way back when.
Right.
This is not new to our community, but we really have to be more prepared and we have to calm down. The other thing I want to warn against, Jose, is there are certain media in this town who want viewership or listenership.
Exactly.
And they're also creating a panic that shouldn't be there. Now, in some cases, they're well-intended, but the well-intention many times turns to viewership or listenership. And so I also tell folks, if you hear something on TV, don't think it's true just because you hear it on TV. Look to see how much investigation they did to claim what they did. Okay. The other is social media. The rumors on social media. I mean, there was
crazy.
This one individual said they raided these 4 places, right? Not one of them was true, Jose. Not one, and then you've got people who just want to hurt people, and they're going to start rumors like that, right? I mean, you could have neighbors trying to scare neighbors by saying, ahorita viene la migra, ¿verdad? And at the end of the day, so just verify whatever you hear.
Right.
Be careful to believe everything you hear. And particularly, come on, parents, adults, don't scare kids. Even if they're U.S. citizens, do you think they want to hear that their mom or dad is going to be deported? Por favor.
Yeah. And you mentioned this is nothing new to our community. My tata was deported in the 40s when his son was fighting in the Pacific, yet he was deported. And so it is nothing new to our community. But I think being Chicanos, Latinos, Mexicanos, we understand the pain and the fear in our community. But the message you're giving today is so important. So again, Raquel Terán, look up Tus Derechos, the website that she's got. It's got all the information. If you see a rumor or you hear about a rumor that immigration or MCSO or ICE is at some place, call Aliento. They have a website, a number specifically for that information. So, Danny, as we close, what's your final parting message?
Yeah, my final message is Calmense y Preparense. And for those of us who can help to do those two things for our people, I think is a good idea. And for those who are in a situation where they fear being deported because of their status, when I say prepare yourself, really, if you can, hire a lawyer or get a consultation with a lawyer and be ready to say to somebody, this is my lawyer, I've got this card, right? And be prepared to do as your lawyer tells you to protect yourself.
Okay.
Somebody said to me, Jose, but I can't afford a lawyer. Look, if you had an emergency in your family, you would figure out a way, right? My parents didn't grow up with a lot of money. Your parents and my tíos and tías, they didn't grow up with a lot of money. But when there was an emergency in the family, vámonos, todos a juntarnos, a ver qué vamos a hacer para ayudar. You can do it. Don't stop before you start.
Okay. Well, thank you, Daniel Ortega, again, civil rights attorney here with a great message to our community is to try to calm the fear and the panic is prepárate, prepárate y prepárate. This is Dr. Jose Leyba signing off on Arizona Barrio Stories and Latino USA TV. We're going to continue having Daniel and other members of our community that are leaders and helping to calm the fear and helping our community prepare for what's next. So again, signing off, Thank you very much y hasta la próxima vez. Adiós.